This live Learn at Home martial arts class, we're working with beginner nunchucks. We're gonna do warm up, we're gonna do some basic techniques and some drills. Start with your hand in the middle of the chuck. You want the long side where the chain comes out, to come out your thumb, palm facing the sky. You're just turning it over and over. This is called an orbital spin. This is a basic drill. When you're doing your warm up, you wanna do drills at the same time. It's 2 for 1. So you're gonna turn your hand over on this basic technique, palm down with your nunchucks, spinning forward. Same thing, it's a simple orbital, which is a basic technique using your nunchucks. We also use this as the warm-up. Turn your hand palm facing the sky again. This drill starts to put the two together. Good afternoon, Garen. Down. So it doubles as a warm-up and a basic technique drill using your nunchaku or your nunchucks. You put those together up and down. This drill turns into a basic technique that we call a figure 8 spin with your nunchucks. Nunchaku or nunchucks, interchangeable terms, it's just different ways to say the same thing. Hello, Doug, it's good to see you. You're just going over and back, over and back. Think about leading with the thumb, carving a sideways figure 8. And do this for about 30 seconds before you bring it back out and reverse everything. So you're just pulling this basic technique, this basic nunchaku or nunchuck skill. You're pulling it backward. Hello, David from the UK. It's good to see you. You're pulling it in toward you. Turn your hand over to the other side of the body and pull it back. Just this backward orbital. You're gonna turn your palm up. You're gonna turn this basic technique, this warm-up move with your nunchucks or nunchaku into a reverse figure 8. Hello, it's good to see you again. Hello, everybody. You guys are starting to come in. We're working nunchucks in this live martial arts class. Basic nunchaku, beginner nunchaku, training at home, basic class. We're doing warm up, we're doing basic techniques. This is the figure 8 basic technique. And drills. The drill is practice this way, turn it over, turn it back, turn it over, put it together, and you've got your reverse figure 8 spin. Now you can be holding it in the middle like I am. You can hold it here if you want more speed. That's gonna make it faster. You can hold it on the other end. That's going to make it heavier. You're gonna get a better workout, more rotation, more stretching in the wrist. All right, so David asks for some basic blocking techniques. The first thing I'm gonna show you, David, is a basic technique with your nunchaku, which is a spinning or a striking technique in the reverse. If you think about deflecting motions using something like a stick or a sword, you pull up, they're coming down, you're gonna smash it out of the way, turning it out of the way. A deflecting block, so it becomes a block, would be this reverse figure 8. So this first basic warm-up technique that we did with this basic drill is actually a deflecting strike or deflecting block, depending on however you want to call it. It's the same idea. So you have swinging blocks. These are all swinging blocks. Anytime you're pulling up, you can hit somebody with it for self-defense, but you're also, think about a sword coming down, ancient Japan, chopping you in half. You're in Okinawa, you're a farmer, you've been training with this secretly, right? Secretly training with your rice flail, and they're coming down to chop you in the head, bam, you smack it out of the way. That's the first way to block. The second way, grab it by the ends and simply push straight up or push to the side. Think about a bladed weapon. The last thing you want to do is to block the blade, especially if this isn't chain. If this were something like rope, you're going to cut right through it. Or even if this were one long piece of wood. You wouldn't block the chain or the blade of the sword. You would block it to the side. So it's a timing thing. As it comes down, you would block a little bit at an angle, and then you could allow it to wrap around. I'll use my finger for an example. And then you can snatch and pull the sword straight out of somebody's hand. Someone were to punch you straight in your face, you can block it straight up this way, you can block it to the side, or do that deflecting block. Those are just some basic blocks you would do using your nunchucks or your nunchaku. Now, after you've done the warm-up in one hand, put it in the other hand, you're gonna do another basic nunchuck warm-up in the left hand. You're always gonna become ambidextrous. Train in an ambidextrous way using your nunchucks or your nunchaku. basic nunchucks training for beginners, it focuses on simple moves. This is a simple pushing move. All I'm doing is this. Get a little momentum. And again, you can hold here toward the chain, get more speed. And you might have strength, chain strength, they're both fine. You might be more in the middle. There's more balance there. You can do more tricks in the middle, or you're on the end. You create a lot more torque on your wrist, so you're gonna get a lot stronger in your wrists doing it in this area right here. David says, thank you for excellent techniques. Effective techniques, you're welcome, David. That's why we're training together, right? We wanna make it practical, we wanna make it work. Turn your hand over, continue to do your beginner Nunchaku warm-up by doing an orbital on the other side of your body, palm up, palm down. This drill puts them together. Now you have your sideways figure eight, also known as an endless spin or an infinity spin. And again, you can do it from the bottom, or you can do it all the way at the top for more speed, or do it in the middle, which will allow you later to do a lot more, if I get it there, a lot more tricks, right? You'll start to figure out where your hand goes when you start doing some of those wrist rolls and some of those spins. All right, the next technique. Oh, also, I know we didn't do it on this side, but do a reverse on both sides. Do that reverse orbital in this beginner Nunchaku, or beginner nunchucks warm-up. You always want to do both sides evenly. Go into a second type of move, which is a striking move. Now think about it this way. When I come down, I'm smashing on top of his head for self-defense. I'm trying to knock him out. If I can knock him out and he's got a knife, I'm in good shape. Hello, it's good to see you, Shake Scan. I'm coming straight down for a strike, but then I'm gonna turn my palm to face the sky and I'm gonna bring it up, and that's that deflection. That's that deflecting strike. All right, his hand is coming in, boom, all of a sudden I'm smashing it up and out of the way. And then I can come back in and strike again. So there's another block, David. So I'm striking down and I'm blocking up, down and up. Start slowly, gradually increase your speed, and as you do it, make sure you hold here on the end, because you want to strike with just the tip, right? You're striking with the tip or smash, down and up. You're going to do that for 30 seconds, but then before you leave this move, add an orbital, and now do an orbital in this nunchucks, beginner nunchucks drill. You do this orbital going down and up in this nunchucks warm-up. You're getting blood to flow into the wrist. You're getting strength in that forearms, elbow, shoulder. Everything's getting stronger from this basic nunchuck, beginner nunchucks drill. Down and up. When you want to learn how to do nunchucks at home, for beginners, you want to fight like Bruce Lee. Maybe you want to learn how to fight like Mighty Guy in Naruto and his buddy, Spike Lee. I know it's not Spike Lee, I just can't think of his name. Rock Lee, that's it. Spike Lee is that other little guy who makes movies in New York and Hollywood. He's got the little John Lennon glasses. He made that great pizza flick with Danny DeVito. Not Danny DeVito. John Turturro, and what was that movie? I don't know. I'm thinking the wrong Spike Lee. Spike Lee doesn't, I'll bet Spike Lee does use the nunchucks. I'll bet he's a Bruce Lee fan. Anyway, we're talking Rock Lee and Naruto for those of you anime fans who seek this out to learn how to do better cosplay. Then I want you to go down at this angle across the body, striking temple through the cheek. Danny Aiello. There's a big difference between Danny Aiello and Danny DeVito. One's a lot funnier than the other one, but they both are pretty funny. You're coming across the body and you're striking. Striking. Down and up. Down and up. Then, I want you to go side to side. And again, every time you're coming down, think of striking. Every time you're coming up, think of knocking something out of the way. They're trying to punch you, choke you, stab you. Yeah, Joe Piscopo. What happened when Joe Piscopo lost all of his humor when he got all muscly? Joe Piscopo used to be a funny dude. And all of a sudden, the guy starts lifting weights or something. I think he lost his sense of humor. Or at least it just wasn't funny anymore. But you're going down, you're going up. Boom. 1, 2, 1, 2. Put those together. This is a strike. There's a deflecting strike. There's a deflecting strike up. Strike, block, block. Strike, block, block. Or think of basically a right triangle. I call this the Bruce Lee triangle, but it's in everything you see. Everybody seems to know how to do this move or learn how to do this move. They get really good at it. It's just a beginner nunchuck drill that allows you to get better using your nunchucks. Notice I'm turning shoulders, hips, shoulders and hips. Always move with your whole body when you do martial arts. Martial arts will never be single hand or, I don't care what martial art it is. Not that I know of anyway. There might be some goofy, made up, might be some martial arts out there that might not be as effective, or maybe they are, I just don't know about it. But almost everything you do in martial arts, you're gonna have to turn your body, turn your hips, move your whole body to generate maximum striking power, knock somebody out. But it also makes your body healthy. You're a human being, you're an animal. Human animal has to move his body or her body, learn how to move really well. That's the beauty of martial arts. Now, after you do that for a while on each side, put it back into that first hand and go into your orbital, go to the upper arm, pop it under your elbow, or under your armpit really, squeeze, create tension, and then release it into their face. These are all basic warm-ups with the nunchucks. This is a warm-up move. There's a basic technique, front and the back of the arm. Catch it on the arm, squeeze, create tension, release it, accelerating into somebody's face for self-defense. Now you're fighting with the nunchucks like Bruce Lee, or Rock Lee, or Mighty Guy, or a Ninja Turtle. Which Ninja Turtle is it that uses the nunchucks? I always forget which one that is. Spinning forward, upper arm, catch it in the armpit, pop it in the eyeball for self-defense. Or if you're in a movie, maybe you're making your own TV show, maybe you like to do cosplay, you dress up as one of those guys, you want to seem more authentic, you want to look like you know what you're doing, learn this basic nunchucks or basic nunchaku, these basic drills, skills, and warm-ups. Here's the warm-up, right? That's the orbital. Front and back of the arm, this is a good warm-up too, but this becomes a technique. It's basically a strike. Put it under the elbow or under the armpit, squeeze it, create tension, and release, pop it into his face. Now, let's go into a little bit more high-end beginner, still beginner. You know it's a little bit more than beginner because I just dropped it. I didn't drop it because of that, I dropped it because I keep looking out the window, see if my students are here, and I have to go unlock the door. All right. 2 nunchucks in one hand, I have not. The only thing I can imagine is one facing up and one down. Is that what you're talking about? Hold on, let's try it. I'm not sure if I have a student out there or not. It's a beautiful day down here. Maybe like this. Whoa, here we go. I didn't even know what was going to happen. Well, this is 2 in one hand. You're talking like this. I think this feels like a really good way to break my elbow or to hurt myself. But, all right, so like this. So yeah, I mean, you can, especially I can, because I got big fat hands. I'm sure you can get really good at it, David. You would start to do 2 at once. You can spin 2. Just move your feet fast. If you're not wearing shoes and you're using metal chucks, that'll dig a little chunk of skin out of the top of your foot. So yeah, you can use them. I'm gonna be honest. That's the first time I ever tried it. I like to use 1 in each hand from time to time. You know, there's a lot of different techniques that you can do that look really cool. Both timing it, changing your timing, changing your rhythm, doing it simultaneously at the same time, pulling it in. But there's a limit to what works, because at some point, one of the coolest thing about the nunchucks, you can even, and I haven't done it with these. I used to do this a lot There it is with the speed chucks. Whoa. So you can do that with 2 chucks. I haven't done that in a while. So we'd have to practice because the length is different. But what I was gonna say is, at some point you put 1 chuck away so that you can start to mess with a single chuck, which is what a lot of people like about the chuck, is that it goes from one hand to the other hand pretty quickly. You do all your tricks and stuff, and then you drop it, you pick it back up, you throw it, catch it, keep doing different techniques, and then keep dropping it, keep picking it up. All right, one more thing I wanted you to work on in this beginner nunchuck drill. This is high level beginner, but this is still beginner, which is a basic wrist roll. You're gonna flip that over the back of your hand, open your hand, turn it, flip it over, and then bring it back. So you're simply letting it lay on the top of your wrist, turn your hand over, facing away, continue, flip it out, then bring it back and bring it over here. David, you're welcome. You have good questions. Thank you for asking that. If you hadn't asked, we would have never got the other chuck off the wall and thrown 2 in one hand. I know you've asked before, David, but I hadn't really thought about it. Now we know. Maybe I'll pick that up and try some things. See who else is doing double. Two sticks in one hand. That's the beautiful thing about martial arts. There's no limit. There's no limit to what you can come up with. We barely scratched the surface. Martial arts, they say, is 2 to 10,000 years old, possibly, maybe older, maybe younger. There's so much to it that we haven't figured out. So many ways that you can move your body, different ways you can strike, block, manipulate, grapple, whatever it is. And maybe you come up with the next move. And we all learn from each other. That's why this global virtual dojo is so important, because we all learn from each other. That's why your thumbs up are so important. Your comments are so important. And when someone comments, when you comment on their comment, that's so important. When you share this on Reddit and share it on Facebook and share it, that one got my toe. Share it on other sources. I got this bruise there on my fingernail, and it started really low. It's now starting to grow up. But it took me a while to remember how I did that. And I remember we were doing this in the class, and the chain wrapped around and boom, snapped that real hard. It doesn't hurt, but that's the cool thing about nunchucks. You get bruises and bumps. You didn't even know were there until like a couple days later. And you have to think back, what was I doing to give myself that bruise or that bump, that little cut? Let it go outside and then bring it back. It's just that, open, turn to the other chuck, bring it back the other way. Then once you get that, throw it into your figure 8. And I am gonna have to open the door. Looks like we do have somebody here. I'm gonna open here and open here. Throw it in with your figure 8, side to side. Do a couple of turns, and then you've got it. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Thanks so much.